What's good, everybody? It's Dynamic here, and today I have a little bit of a different style video for y'all. So usually I'd be making videos around this time of year about kind of rankings or talking about teams, but the league actually made a pretty big change in this upcoming week where they are now combining both conferences and there are now no conferences, no AL or NL. So I thought this was important to talk about. Now, before I get into the video, make sure y'all comment your opinions on it, if you like it, if you don't like it, what it will create, what it won't create, because I definitely think this is a very interesting change for the league. So for this video, we're just going to be diving into it. I had a different video planned for this week, but I think I'm just going to push it to next week because I'm still really interested in making that video. So if you want to see that and more, please subscribe. So for all you guys that don't know what I'm talking about, pretty much MLW released a statement on their Instagram and social medias that the MLW is removing the AL and NL divisions, which lasted from 2017 to 2024, effective immediately, and it will now have all 8 teams compete for the top 6 postseason positions. Now, this is the format. We'll get more into it, but this is pretty much what the big change was. And even though it doesn't feel like a big change right away, if you look deeper into it, it has some pretty long-lasting implications. So I think the best thing to do for this video is to make a pros section and a cons section about the new change and see if overall it was a good thing for the league. So in my opinion, this change actually has a lot more pros than cons, and therefore I believe it's a good change for the league. But of course, we'll start with the pros. So the first pro that I see, in my opinion, is obviously the MLW takes 6 teams to the postseason out of 8, meaning that 2 of the teams are probably going to be below average. And what this does is it makes sure those 2 teams that are below average are at least somewhat decent. Now, when you're taking 6 teams to the playoffs, it's kind of hard to choose 3 teams per division, because what happens if one of the teams goes 0-15 and the other one goes 1-14? Now you have to take that 1-14 team over a team across the division who might not have made it, who was like 6-8. It's kind of what we saw with the Gators last year, and if this rule was in effect, they would have actually made the playoffs. But in my opinion, what we're really seeing here is Kyle and MLW just trying to adjust to the fan base and make it more fair. Now, obviously, this isn't the only pro. The other pro is the All-Star game. Since the divisions themselves are really small and each team has about 5 to 6 players, the All-Star game has had some selections over the past few years, which are definitely questionable, especially with how good the player is doing each season. They usually go back to just taking a player who might be subpar or who maybe had a good season a couple seasons before, and it makes the All-Stars not really worth anything. I think there were some guys this year especially who I didn't really love to see there, so I think removing the AL and NL will change the All-Star format for sure and make it so that we're really getting the best of the best despite conferences. And the third and final major pro I have is definitely the new playoff format, which I'll put on screen right now. In my opinion, this actually makes it so that it's really hard for a 6th seed or a 5th seed to make it all the way to the championship. I mean, the 6th seed has an absolute gauntlet of a schedule. They have to play the 3 seed, and then they have to play the 2 seed, and that's in the entire league. So they're playing some of the best teams back-to-back before they make it to the championship. It just makes it really hard for a team that finished subpar to do well in the playoffs, and that's my favorite thing, right? I want to see regular season success. I want to see that mean something. I want to see it give you an advantage in the playoffs, and I really think they accomplished that with this. Now, I don't think there's a ton of cons to the new rule change, but there are definitely some for sure. For example, if you liked the All-Star format, then you can say goodbye to that because we're not going to be really seeing any more AL versus NL, obviously. And another thing that Drew Davis mentioned is that rivalries will be gone. Now, we've seen some great rivalries in MLW, whether it's the Magic and the Cobras or the Cobras and the Predators, or even the Wildcats and the Mallards, seeing Tommy and Kyle go at it. But in my opinion, the sacrifice taking away the rivalries is important because rivalries really don't get that heated in MLW, and you can still create some despite having the divisions or not. The last con is that it definitely makes things somewhat less interesting when it comes down to conference standings, but once again, it's not really that big of a deal because the sacrifice they're making in that, in my opinion, is for the greater good of the league. Alright guys, that looks like it's it for me today. If you liked the video, make sure to subscribe, comment what you think about it, and yeah, just stick around for any more MLW videos I got coming down the line. Appreciate y'all, and peace.